If you think you're not racist, you need to drop whatever you're doing right now and start figuring it out.
A very good friend pointed out to me today that sometimes when I think I'm being edgy, I'm actually just being racist. And it didn't change my heart or my mind at all, but I thought it was a really good point.
Mic off.
All comedy is racist, not just racial comedy, but anything that makes anybody laugh is racist, because if you're laughing, then you're not thinking about the oppression that's happening to minorities. Unless you are thinking about that oppression and you are laughing, and then you're even more of a racist. I mean, how can you laugh?
What about
How can you laugh?
minority?
Even if the joke is funny.
What about minority?
Knowing that racism has never been as bad in our country's history as it is in the year 2022. How can you laugh at anything? Even if it is funny. What about the f***ers? They're suffering.
Well, at least you didn't say the T phrase.
Some of them aren't even qualifying for the affirmative action programs that we've set up for them. What about them?
Okay, I'm actually...
They have to feed watermelon to their children, too. And how are they going to do that? I ask you. Go ahead, white man, tell me.
Is it white man? Oh, wait, I'm making inside jokes. Never mind. But, yeah, anyway. Crazy. But, yeah, so, point is, I missed... Fox, hi. I missed a Republican politician. They visited the house today. I was sleeping, so I missed an opportunity to harangue them.
Oh, we just got a solar panel guy. That was all.
Nice.
And I had the kid with me in the wagon, and I pulled my back out like a bitch last week, and I'm still hobbling like a goblin. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Boy, I'll tell you
So
what.
I didn't have anything for like the solar panel guy.
No.
But we got one hell of a canvasser. So, you know, I'm staying over at my folks, and they're in a well-to-do, you know, upper middle class, what would you call it? Like planned community. All right?
Pretty much, yeah.
There's no gates here. Anybody can come in. All the streets are owned by the county. But that means all the streets are owned by the county, and your rights, as founded by like the Watchtower Group versus the village of Ivanhoe, I forget what it was, but basically the J-Dubs, the Javajos, they figured it out and they took it to the Supreme Court. You can canvass anywhere. It's your constitutional right. You know, any street that's public. You can't stop them. No soliciting signs mean nothing on a public road.
Knocking on a door has the same rules as calling a phone. You're allowed to knock on the door, you're allowed to call until they tell you to go away, and then you have to do that. But initially, you can call anybody you fucking want.
I wish you
go,
had
"Hi,
been
how
here
you
for this
doing?"
canvasser. I wish you had been here for this canvasser, because we got this guy. Again, it was the same thing a few weeks ago. And I'm taking my kid out, and this gentleman approaches me. And this is a taller gentleman who is in the possession of a higher melanin content than I am. I think that's the safe way to say it. But his skin tone was rather darker than mine, and he was much slimmer than me. Possibly even just slightly more handsome, and you could tell he knew how handsome, how handsome they knew that they were by the length of their short shorts that they were wearing, which I believe that the short shorts were only slightly bigger than the miniature teddy bear style backpack on his back, and he was wearing a jersey for some team, I can't remember, and had the sunglasses on, but had a bunch of stuff in his hands. And I'm like, I'm not ready for a magazine subscription. And I heard, hi, I was wondering if you have a moment to talk about Ron DeSantis. And I am like, this is way too early in the morning. And it was the tall black guy that happened to come off as queermosexual and canvassing for Ron DeSantis. And at any other point in my day or in my life, I would be like, let's sit down. You got a minute for a cup of coffee? Go ahead. Tell me all about him. Tell me your favorite things about him. But I said, well, I'm just staying here. But I'm pretty sure the people here are, and I let them know. And I was the people that live here, they're voting for him. And like I said, I can put you down for them. They're ready. You don't have to convince them. And then I started walking off. When I said to myself, I said, what I should have done, I was like, oh, the two people in here can't fucking stand him. Just knock on this door. They'll be here in a minute. And then just walk off. But no, they said, all right, well, have a good day. And they skipped down the stairs and strolled HyperCOMM cartoon style down to the next house. Just keep on trucking just all the way down, and knocks on the next door. And that's when I realized, what the hell just happened? And I went and I got my stepmother. I'm like, you got to come out and see this. I said, and I brought him out.
You gotta come out and see this gay black guy that's canvassing for Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. Which she did. She put her shoes on and she rushed out the door, and I'm like, yeah, check this out.
You actually woke her up. She was asleep. I was like, oh, wake up! There's a gay black guy canvassing for DeSantis. And she flew out of bed. What? I see this.
Crippled, but her legs, she grew new legs.
It's a miracle.
But I felt like I was off my game. I can't remember if that was before or after I left for the movie, but if it was after I left for the movie, then I would have been fucking done.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was rigorous. I was done like halfway through doing the movie. It was already spent. If you couldn't tell. Yeah. And I looked back at it and I felt kind of bad. I was like, shit, man, I should have
we should have kicked your ass.
A little bit harder.
We should have just beat the shit out of you.
Ooh,
but all I did was sort of break your leg.
You did that because you're an uncoordinated, lanky. What are you, fucking 6 feet tall?
Yeah, about.
Yeah, and you just so we had to shoot.
Well, you're 6 feet tall, uncoordinated, and lanky.
No, that's not true. I'm 5'10". I'm highly coordinated. My kinesthetic system is finely tuned.
Well, I'm gonna.
And my proprioception is amongst the best in the world. I'm in the top 2 percentile.
I'm gonna boot up DOSBox and get your biorhythm.
Kinesthesia. But you, well, because I played sports. Okay, so I'm aware of the position of my body in space as I'm moving. Okay, so what Fox is talking about is that we had to shoot a scene for the movie where I'm not giving anything away here by saying that we had a little falling out in the movie, and our characters got into a little bit of a physical altercation. So we had to shoot that scene, and in that, because we both elected to do our own stunts,
we're professionals.
I did get injured. I did. He broke my leg, pretty much. I couldn't walk for I couldn't walk normally for about a week or 10 days, but yeah.
So I have not known you very long, Mr. Chewley, but I know that you hurt your foot at X Day,
Hurt both his legs at X Day.
My foot. No. My foot.
So what I'm curious
shattered
is
his pelvis.
I'm just curious why does Jehovah hate your lower body so much?
Jehovah loves my lower body because all of those injuries should have required medical attention.
Yeah, they
but I just healed. No, seriously, like it's a miracle that the X-Day incident and the filming the movie incident both, I just let it go, and they both just healed, and I'm back in fighting shape again.
And that is right. That's right after you sliced the back of your foot open with what looked like a cheese grater.
Yeah, you could see bone. So yeah, it's not that Jehovah hates me. He's got my back. He's been getting me through. I don't go to doctors. Like these all just healed. So he loves me. I know that I'm getting into heaven. I know that I can rape as much as I want and murder as much as I want because obviously the Lord has a hard-on for me.
Or at least for your legs.
The bleeding legs of Fidd Chewley.
Yeah, that's true. I should break a rib and see what the Lord does for me. Maybe it is just
he might make you a girlfriend.
Yeah, because I mean that's where the first one came from, right? The first girlfriend. So, yeah, that's a thought.
I had a girlfriend that liked McRib sandwiches.
That's why they call it a boner, because Eve was made out of.
I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
I'm not a theologian, but I think that's why they call it a boner.
I'm a bit of a theologian. I've read some books with big words. I think I've read that word before, and I'm pretty sure that sounds right.
Theologian was, I think he was the gay chipmunk, right?
Is that the one with SpongeBob on it?
I've got a theology for kids. It's one of those cardboard page books, with the little a finger puppet in the middle.
Theologian was the chipmunk that found the weed under the bed in Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, right?
Yes, and Homunculus was the one that was able to correctly identify it immediately.
Oh, yeah, which strain?
Yeah, it was a little weird how...
That's some OG Kush, theologian.
So I found a store today that I was just I was going. Okay, so I had a 4-day weekend last weekend because my precious Baltimore Ravens were in town playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I went to the stadium. The tickets were retardedly expensive for the seats that I had. I spent $120 just on beer. It was a 4-day weekend. There was people in from out of town, and I just spent way too much money. So today, I had to go to Amscot, which for those of you that live outside of the future capital of the former Spanish Empire, is basically a place where you can get a payday advance. And they're very reasonable.
It's only 300%.
No, they only charged me 7%.
On a payday loan?
On a payday fucking loan. Now, here's the deal. It doesn't count towards your credit when you pay it back on time, but they only charge 7%. At least for me. So it's like, fuck, if I want $300, I just have to pay them back 21 extra on top of the 300 that I pay them back. So, yeah, I had to go there today. And then I get out of the Amscot. I see right across the street a store that I've never seen before. It had a pot leaf and the letters T, H, and C. And then a big neon sign that said, "No card required."
Just
and I'm
burning
like,
into
okay.
the sky.
I'm like, okay. I'm gonna go in and see what the bullshit is here, because this can't be legit. Like, what the fuck is this, right?
I like that it's conveniently across the street from the Amscot.
Yeah, I like that too.
Next to like the Cash for Gold and the Chinese takeout place you're never gonna order from again.
Yeah, the Cash for Gold, the handgun store, the liquor store, and the cash advance store, and then the no medical card required weed dispensary in a state where only medical is legal. It's not rec. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go in here and see what the fucking deal is. Like, how does this work, right? So I go in there, and it's like, it's pretty empty looking. There's a hottie behind the counter. She kind of made me nervous. She was like really hot. I was like, I started getting anxious.
You're a cop.
Damn. Yeah, and I have a hat with like an American flag on it, and I'm like, she's gonna think I'm a fucking cop. But I was like, so how does this work? Like, no card required. What's the deal? And she goes, we have a really good lawyer. And I was like, all right, that doesn't make sense, but if you're going to sell me weed, I'll buy it from you. And I'll enjoy the store while it lasts, but I don't expect it to be here that long. And yeah, it was jars. He's like, yeah, are you in this sativa or indica or hybrid? And it was jars with barcodes, receipts, like totally above the board somehow. And yeah, I got home and I tried it, and it definitely worked. I mean, and it's bud. It's not just
it was real weed?
Dude, it's real. Like, it's not even like some shake that tastes like something that you don't recognize, that just has like some bullshit sprayed on it. Like, these are buds.
Yeah, I was about to ask, what color's your pee?
Well, because I was going to say, aren't there also strains of a plant that don't bear THC at all, but they're like botanically in the same family?
I think
like the male gets you high, but the female doesn't, or some shit like that.
Yeah, the flowers.
I think that's the way it works. Is like they start with like bud that doesn't have THC, and they add it, and so it doesn't count, or some kind of bullshit. And by the way, that's a blind eye right there, is loopholes for laws that shouldn't be laws in the first place. You know what I mean? Because it's like, dude, I'm in my late 30s, I work for a living, I support myself, I pay my taxes. Guess what? I get to smoke weed. I get to fucking do that. Because I'm a good citizen, I'm not a felon. You know what I mean? Like, I do everything I am supposed to do. I get to smoke weed. Fuck you. I don't care what the law is. So, but you can't have recreational weed in Florida. But you can have all this, like, Delta 8 shit that still gets you super stoned. And just loopholes for laws that shouldn't be laws in the first place. It's like, oh, we're going to tax you on your income 40% this year. Oh, well, what if I just claim that this was going to this, that this was a business expense? Okay, well, then we won't tax you on that. Well, okay, well, then I'll claim it as a business expense. Like, when there's a really simple loophole for a law that has a huge penalty for violating it that shouldn't be a law in the first place, blind eye to every member of the legislature that put that law into effect in the first place.
Because I'll tell you, if it wasn't for the fact that it costs real live money to do so, I'd love to get my hands on that fake weed just to see what it feels like, see if the placebo kicks in,
Which
what do you mean, the CBD?
Kratom?
What's the fakest? Well, what is the fakest of the fake that looks the most like real weed?
Oregano.
That does not exist anymore. Back in the day, before any state had medical, they used to make these things. I don't know what else word to use. They used to make these things that like looked like bud, but it was all just kind of like, you know how they make particle board out of like sawdust? It's just pressed. So they would make this stuff that looked like bud, except it was like a form of like catnip and lettuce and like all of this stupid shit. But they had these catalogs where they had pictures of it, and it looked like bud, and you were legally allowed to smoke it because it wasn't tobacco and it wasn't weed, but it didn't get you actually high.
Yeah, I remember.
At all.
Yeah, there was stuff like that, like Euphoria cigarettes.
Well, I'm curious about
like
it because
that.
I'm actually very sensitive to the placebo effect. I can feel it, and I'm curious to see how good of a placebo it is for real weed. Because there's been studies on that, because shit like that only gets popular if it can actually trick someone. If it doesn't actually, like, because it has to at least deprive you of enough oxygen to make you feel a little dizzy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The people that, like, turn CBD into a 100 million, billion, trillion dollar a year industry, they didn't have to trick people after the fact. Like, what you're talking about is like, all right, this looks like weed, I'll try it, and then you smoke it and you go, I think I'm feeling something. And you kind of talk yourself into it.
Yeah.
The CBD people sold everybody before they ever even tried CBD. Somehow, they marketed it such that people just heard CBD and they did their own math. Like, well, CBD, well, it comes from weed, but it's not what gets you high. Well, it must do something. It's like, why? Why must it? It must do something? What makes you think that? Well, because it's like a non psychoactive form of THC. So it must like do all the things that the people that claim it does something does, you know.
Maybe that's what I should have said. I should have said, I want to try, if it didn't cost money, take like a big fucking dose of CBD and, well, let's see if it does anything.
It shouldn't be that expensive. They sell jars of like THC negative buds, like just solid CBD buds I'm in jars at the gas station.
Because I do, yeah. It's not like I'm trying to get off the THC. I'm just really curious to see how much time people are really wasting, or if it is like, oh, it does mellow you out a little bit.
Well,
it's
fucking bullshit. Because if like I could give you a joint rolled up of my fucking pubes and tell you that it's going to mellow you out, and it's not going to do anything. But if you have the expectation that it's going to mellow you out, then you're going to look for that. You're going to smoke it, and then you're going to be really focused on figuring out if you're mellowed out or not, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I think I am. That's all it fucking
You're
is.
pretty mellow until you realize you need to floss.
Well, my curiosity about it is simply because if we're coming to a point where they're going to legalize THC all around and adults can smoke weed, I kind of wonder about the people who get over paranoid and people who just don't like weed, but they still want to join in the fun. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I just think the fake weed is like the fake meat to me. You know, it's like if you don't want to eat bacon, just don't eat bacon. Why do you have to form soy meal into little strips that look like bacon? Why is it so necessary for you to replicate the meat-eating experience?
And why would a vegetarian want something that tastes like something that they don't eat?
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, because I'll eat vegetables. I love a good portobello burger. They're delicious. But it's not a substitute for beef. It's not.
Well, I mean, look, there's a very small demographic for that. It's people that, I guess they're called like flexitarians, which is like, they're not against eating meat in any way, but they just kind of want to like diversify their diet, and so they don't want to eat like a red meat burger every day. So they'll just like throw in a Boca burger or like a Morning Star, like whatever, like fake meat product. They're just doing it to mix it up. So those people would want it to taste like the real thing.
Yeah,
but
I'm not interested about them because that just sounds reasonable.
No, that makes sense. It's the vegetarians that like, but that's a very small demo, right? The flexitarian.
It's bait, is what it is. It's it's like, well, yeah, taste it. It tastes like meat, and then before you know it, you got a pair of Toms on, and you're shopping at Whole Foods buying Saran wrap.
Yeah, except for the fact that like, even though it's a lot better than like the fake meat, from back in the day, like they've actually dialed it in to a pretty decent degree. But it's still not as good as like the real thing.
It still seems like much ado about nothing. If I want vegetables, I can eat vegetables. If I want meat, I can eat meat. It's just, why does it have to wear a meat costume? They'd be like, are they gonna start giving me beef cut into the shape of a head of broccoli?
Well, all right. Well, what would you say about vat meat?
I'm fascinated. I really am. Because if they can get it right, I'm actually open to the idea of no longer enslaving animals for our food. That sounds like a good idea in the long run. If they can get food replicators to work, I'm into it.
I had heard about this group out in Israel, Jews, and they had been working on this stuff, and it's a living tissue, and it has a 50% growth rate. So you're able to harvest a good portion of it, and it will be able to keep replenishing over time. Now, I don't know how much it costs to do that or what it takes to do that, but they do have something that seems somewhat sustainable. And then I remember a few years later, there was a story with a journalist who went out and he tried it. He's like, yeah, it tastes like a steak, yeah. But that's kind of the it tastes like a steak, but
well, I think my problem with the veggie burger thing is not that it's not made of real meat; it's the fact that it's pretending nevertheless. I feel like lab grown meat. Well, it is meat. It's just not from a natural born cow. It's from a lab grown specimen.
Well, there's also there's an end that fake, like you can go to the freezer section in the grocery store and buy like fake meat burger patties, and that serves an end which is, well, it tries to, but it fails in this way, which is, okay, you're a vegetarian, you're going to a cookout, you're going to a barbecue, whatever, where there's going to be a bunch of people. You want to participate, but you don't eat ribs and you don't eat burgers because you're a vegetarian. Well, now you can go to your grocer's freezer and you can get some fake ribs and you can get some fake patties and you can be like, hey, I can eat burgers with all of the other non-vegetarians and maybe they won't think I'm a total fag. Except for it never works out. They all think you're a total fag. Because what you do is you bring your frozen burger patties to the cookout, and then you go, hey, bro, I'm a bro too. Throw one of my burger patties on there. This is special for me, though, because I don't eat meat. So, but yeah, I'm still a bro. So, yeah, go ahead and throw that on there. But put it on the top rack because I don't want to... I don't need the juices.
I don't want your burgers looking at my burger. My air quotes.
Yeah, like, yeah. No, look, I'm just as cool as you. I'm equally as cool as you. I mean, I have
the ivory tower of the Top Grill rack.
Except for, put mine up there where you're like toasting the buns, because I don't need any of the juices. If any of the juice from your beef patties gets onto my vegetarian beef patty, I can't eat it. I can't eat it at that point. It's contaminated.
It's been spiritually tainted.
Yeah. So that's the idea, is that you can go to a cookout and still,
You can go for the egg salad that you didn't know had shrimp in it.
But right there is why I'm in favor of the lab-grown meat, because the lab-grown meat says to the vegetarian, no cows died in the making of this burger, but it says to the meat eater, but it is still meat. We just grew it in a lab instead of raising a cow.
And it exposes the lie that all vegetarians want to propagate, which is that eating meat is bad for you.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. What are the canines for? What are the incisors for?
I think we kind of have. And by the way, there's no natural source of vitamin B12 other than animal. Like, you can't... The only way... If you wanted to be a vegetarian 100 years ago, you would die because you would develop a B12 deficiency.
Or they just beat the shit out of you.
Well, if you look at the rule of the Benedictine monks, it recommends vegetarianism except for the old or the sick. They considered meat a form of medicine.
Well, it's probably a little more scarce then, too.
Well, yeah, and that's, again, what I'm saying. When meat is bad for you, it's bad for people who eat too much meat. But that's just too much factor.
Guess what else is bad for you if you eat too much of it? Everything.
Literally anything.
No, I can only have so much chocolate.
And that's my point, where it's like, okay, so once we've established that meat is food, it's not poison.
.com.
Well, then all we have to do is we have to get around the ethical problem of killing living critters for our meat. Well, if the scientists have figured out how to make meat in a jar, goddamn, sign me up for it.
No, fuck that. We don't have to get around the problem of killing animals. We can keep killing animals. Because here's why. Okay, if black people get to say the T phrase because they're black,
you get to eat a hamburger.
As an organism who is going to die, I get to kill other things for my food. Because I'm like, in that sense, I'm also black. You know what I mean?
You've been watching too much of that
if you're
terrible
black,
crime.
you don't even... Black people don't even have to apply for a pass to say the T phrase. They can just say the T phrase as a natural and immediate consequence of their blackness. And so I argue that as a natural and immediate consequence of my mortality, I also get to kill other things. For free.
.com.
Well, okay, can we compromise by, like, just, we'll serve everybody the fake meat so that we all have the feel-good vibes, but then we'll have theme parks with live animals for you to shoot and eat. So you can still kill and eat animals, but you have to kill them yourself.
Yeah, they'll turn Six Flags into like a rodeo purge situation where if you
we just get rid of industrialized meat consumption. We still kill animals for meat, but you have to break that chicken's neck yourself. God damn it!
Wait, but no, you're ruining all the fun of killing shitloads of animals at a time by the press of a button.
Well, I get it.
After World War II, they outlawed Holocaust. So this is all we have left. This is the only way we have left of killing large populations of animals at the same time. And yes...
No, that's not true.
I am
killing species every day. We're doing a great job of killing species, Fidd. We don't have
I can't tell if you're playing the devil's advocate or if you're gay. I don't know anymore.
I can't tell anymore. Are you serious? I mean, I do have sex with girls, and that's pretty gay.
You wanna not be able to tell together?
I mean,
my radar's off.
Your gaydar's off. I don't think I ever had. Well, that's the best thing about the LGBTQIA movement is thanks to the flags, we need to use the gaydar.
Say that again. You were suppressed.
I was saying that the best thing about the LGBT movement is that thanks to the flags, I never have to use my gaydar.
Not bad. I like how the second time you said it that you included less initials and the initialism. You got fed up. You got fed up with trying to include everybody after one try.
Well, pretty soon the initialism will be only the letters that aren't in it because it'll be a shorter list.
So yeah, like no S's.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think they would have a much better time getting people on board their movement if instead of an initialism, they had an acronym.
That's a good point.
Yeah, something good on a business card.
Yeah, if the list of initials for gayness could be pronounced as a word, then it would be so much easier to remember everybody.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, let me get a piece of paper and a pen. We can just listen. So LGBTQ,
A, anti-establishment, G, gay, and then the other G would be like even gayer, like gayer, gayer, and then O.
Well, we've got
like
two vowels.
Over Trump. I'm over.
Can we count the plus as a T? Can we count the plus?
There's already a T at the end.
Well, if we get two T's though, because if the plus counts as a T, then that gives us two T's and two vowels, and we have an A, so we get BATT. So we're on our way to a word.
What about family of allies grouped strongly?
Strongly at the end.
Yeah.
I got you. My bad. Yeah.
It's always a little stronger in the end.
Family
because
is groping strongly.
Well, I can get behind that.
Friendly all sorts groping strongly.
I can get behind that or in front of it.
It's your choice. It's the future.
That's what makes it so great.
Yeah, you can pick which letter of the initialism you fall under.
Yeah, what kind of victim? What kind of victim do you want to be today?
This is all inclusive victimhood. It's an all-you-can victim buffet.
I can't wait for the war of the neurodivergent versus the LGBTQ A pluses. It's not really an A plus; it's like a C minus. But
there should be two L's.
Or how about like the uprising of the retarded, like people that like legitimately have mental and physical limits. They're incapacitated to their full potential, but they all have just enough sanity in their head, just that one little drop right at the front of their eyes. It just beads up in a little tear every day that they hear some 19-year-old cosplaying femboy on the Otaku Network reviewing the new Red Dead Redemption 2 game that they are proudly high-functioning autistic and a neurodivergent. And when that pent-up Spurg rage in institutions across the United States builds up to the highest point, that they collectively use their retard strength to break free and form a coalition and go smash every TikToker in the world into the pavement. Bite the curb!
Yeah.
Bite the curb!
It's basically the same as like if you were Albert fucking Einstein, right? Literally Albert Einstein. And then you logged onto your Twitter account and you saw that Kanye West called himself a genius. Right?
Okay. Hold on.
Well, fucking that diminishes, like, I was proud of being a genius until Kanye West called himself one. Now I don't want to be one anymore. I'm going to go get my
Wait,
I'm going to give myself a fucking lobotomy. Fuck this shit.
I'm waiting for someone to say geniuses have privilege, that intelligence is a privilege. and that you have to renounce your intelligence in conversations. You know,
who
people
wrote
say
the
as
cell
a.
phone?
Yeah,
They always say
who
as a-
coined stupidity is a right.
Yeah. But, you know, people say, you know, as a black person, as a woman, as a gay person, well, now you can say, well, as a genius, allow me to acknowledge my privilege.
As an Olympic
being
gold
so-
medal winner.
As a fucking retard. That's the problem with retards. They don't stand up for themselves. You know?
Just like those fucking paraplegics.
Yeah. Those fucking spinal cord victims.
That's
just don't stand up for
ableism.
themselves. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is that there are actually some people in this country who are trying to delete the existence of the retarded. They want to ban the R word. So they're trying to whitewash the existence of the retarded.
No way. That's fucked up. It's a solid word, retarded with a hard R. With 2 hard R's. It's a solid word, man. And by the way, it means what it means because retarded applies to many different things. Like it's actually a musical term. It's actually a term in like auto mechanics. Like you can
In flight.
you can retard.
It's used in baking.
timing.
Whenever a dough is rising and when you want it to stop rising, you put it into a retarder.
Have you ever seen those
Yeah.
videos of the planes landing and the automated system starts yelling, retard, retard, retard?
Pull up. Woot, woot. Pull up.
Pull up, retard.
Pull up, retard, retard.
Rotate. 100.
Actually,
rotate.
when I'm in charge, so under Fidd Crow, that's another rule. I need to start writing these down.
Write
So
it down.
the automated warning system in aircraft will always refer to the pilot as a retard. Whatever it's warning the pilot against. Like low altitude, steep bank angle, low fuel.
Also-
whatever the fucking warning is, it's going to go, bank angle warning, retard.
Also, fasten seatbelts.
Retard.
Passengers, yeah, the passengers as well. You may now take off your seatbelt and move around the cabin, retard.
Stop resisting, retard. Oh, we need to take that word back. Can you imagine? Because here's my theory. My theory is that if it wasn't for the people who said that the R word was a slur, Donald Trump would have never been elected president. Because if we were allowed to call people retards, we could have called Donald Trump a retard.
The thing is that anybody that complained about it in that time span could not even pronounce the word slur.
Yeah, well, yeah, T-Change makes a good point. The Democrats really shot themselves in the club foot on that one.
Yeah, if
Country
they had let us keep our mean words and our mean jokes, we could have used mean words and mean jokes against all those mean old white people.
.com.
Yeah, you by reacting to it, you give it power, and that's exactly what they did.
Imagine if everyone in the country had said,
one small correction, okay? We don't need to take back the word retard. We need to give it back to the retards. That's
Because
their
they can't
word.
get it themselves.
That's right. That's exactly right. We need to do that for them. Like there's many other things that we need to do for them because they deserve to be happy.
it's
And
the
they
white
deserve
man.
to live fruitful and fulfilling lives. And there are some things that we, as non-retards, have to do for the retard.
Did you ever?
We have
You know?
to
Did you ever see that little YouTube series, The Retarded Policeman? And it was it was like a family. It was like
Yes.
It was two.
Yes, I did.
It was a brother and a sister, and their brother with Down syndrome, and he would pull them over and just fuck with them. It's like and the whole bit is, what are you supposed to do? There's a man who keeps asking about your McDonald's toys, but he has a badge, and you can't just leave. So it was pretty good. And at the end of 2 or 3 episodes, they did a little bumper at the end, and they said some people feel that we are exploiting our brother, but our brother is an actor, and he adds beautifully, I might add. And they said, so he does this because he wants to, and he writes the skits, and we do this with him. And if you have a problem with that, you look at yourself.
Yeah, what
first.
are we supposed to do?
And
not film the video that he wants to do?
And
because...
then he fired back, I may have Down syndrome, but that's retarded.
Yeah!
Oh!
That's what I'm
He's
talking
my hero!
about.
He was a lot of people's heroes, yeah. It was...
That's fucking badass.
These fucking people, Blind Eye, all of these fucking people that take it upon themselves to be offended on behalf of someone else before they even know what the context or even consider the situation to any degree.
It's ad hoc
the people
outrage.
That just have their tracking beacons on to anything that they could potentially interpret to be offensive, and then take it upon themselves to be offended as some kind of
it's this weird interpretation of virtue signaling.
Yeah, well, okay, so this guy, he has Down syndrome. He loves making these videos and uploading them to YouTube. But he can't do that. We're going to take that away from him, because that could open him up to, negative comments on the internet,
and
or something like that.
Or it might hurt the feelings of other retards.
Yeah, except for the fact that it would actually inspire other retards to be like, oh, damn, I didn't think I could do this because I know I have this condition.
Johnny Knoxville did a really good job with it in the Ringer movie.
The Ringer.
That was fantastic.
If that movie, The Ringer and Office Space and Waiting, the fact that those
and the Special Olympics episode of South Park.
Yeah, the fact that those pieces of media didn't rattle a few brains loose and be like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe creating artificial privileges will inspire people to exploit the system. What?
Well, that was something that came up to mind with me. When Fidd and I were done pimping ice cream one day to the bitches, we stopped by the bar to give them ice cream because it's full of bitches, and we were watching.
You gotta give
bitches. We were watching the TV, and there was a soccer game on, and I wasn't really paying any attention to it until I saw that there was a Special Olympics logo on the screen. And I put together, and I was like, dude, check it out. It's Special Olympics soccer. And that's enough to just kind of make you chuckle. Oh, okay, well, yeah, let's take a look at this. Okay. But you watch, and these guys are playing just as hard as anybody in a major league game. It's a big deal for them. They're playing. But among inspection, it's like, well, how are these guys impaired? Because they were international teams. I forget which ones that was that day, but they did not look. They didn't really match your expectation for Special Olympics.
Well, there's two reasons for that. One is their coach isn't retarded.
That's unfair. First off, that's
unfair. First of all, even though they're all retarded, their coach isn't. But it speaks to their ability to take direction as a team, and it speaks to your point that just by looking at it, until you noticed the Special Olympics logo, it didn't look any different than non-retarded soccer.
But how much of that could be just like, here's a group of guys that did really poor in school, so we're going to label them mentally deficient, and then It just so happens that they were killing it out on the field, so we'll put them in that. I mean, is there padding in the Special Olympics?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, there was a bunch of black guys that got into the Special Olympics soccer that weren't retarded, but, because of affirmative action, they just let a bunch of black guys, non-retarded black guys, compete in that game.
Yeah, but it's soccer. You don't have a lot to worry about.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Do you really need a high IQ to play soccer?
Well, it's not about what sport it is. It's about, knowing how to play as a team does take... You have to be able to think outside yourself. You have to be able to know, okay, what's the role of a forward? What's the role of a halfback, a fullback, a wing? And, so then you have to be able to look at those guys, know which one of those guys on your teams are playing which position, and then assume that they're going to play their position the way that each of those positions are differently played, and stick to the plan and not just run directly after the ball, knowing that in advance you're able to make plays where you can anticipate where people are going to be if you want to pass it, or if you need, without being able to look behind you, knowing that somebody is on your back because they're that position that should be on your back. You don't have to check. So to be able to play as a team does take the kind of intelligence that requires you to think in a complex way, where you're not only thinking for yourself, but you're thinking about what other different minds are thinking about.
Hey,
put yourself in that context. So yeah, team sports does require, a working degree of functionality. There's many things that you can have an impairment in that won't specifically affect your ability to play team sports, but will affect your ability to do other things. So
yeah, like maybe two guys on each team were just scared of the ball.
And that's the thing. It's not about intelligence either. It's about, there's a wide array of disabilities that they let in the Special Olympics.
Let me ask this question then. Let's say I am an athlete. I'm a soccer player, and I'm a good soccer player. This comes back to something Fox said that I think we need to explore, which is if I'm a high functioning autist that no way, shape, or form affects my ability to play soccer, can I still be in the Special Olympics? Or they give you an IQ test, they check for doping in the real Olympics?
You keep bringing up IQ and intelligence. It's not.
What? No. I'm making a point. No, my point is to say, what is the threshold for being in the Special Olympics versus being in the Olympics?
It might be easier for you if you're a swimmer.
Yeah, that's true, because then the affirmative action doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Is it's not about whether it's okay, how much of a disability is a Special Olympic versus a real Olympics? Because
if there's a fat kid that
on the fucking internet and figure it out, or how am I supposed to know? Why are you asking me?
Because you seem to be a smart guy, and you always speak with such a confident, sultry tone of voice. I love you.
That's literally what the fuck I'm talking about. And by the way, I find it kind of insulting that you think that I would know the finer points of the regulation of the Special Olympics. What are you implying? What are you implying? Why would I, in particular, be well versed in the regulatory code of the Special Olympics? What are you trying to say?
Well, you always know more about sports.
We're just on to you.
No, message received. Okay, all right. I get it.
Yeah, if you keep up your current lifestyle, your legs will qualify you for the Special Olympics.
I did shit my pants in Las Vegas. I think, what if I told them that? What if I applied to be in the Special Olympics?
They might ask you what month it was, but that could be it.
You could just and you have video evidence, so it's not like you can't prove that you shit your pants.
I go to the front desk, and there's Judy. and I say, "Hi, Judy. I could see what your name was by your name tag, so don't be alarmed. I didn't read your mind. I'm not a psychic. Anyway, I'm here to apply for the Special Olympics." And then she goes, "Okay, what kind of retard are you?" And then I go, "Well, me and two of my well, I was going to say friends, but I met him in a cult, to make a long story short. And these two dudes that I met from a cult, we made a movie about ourselves. And we went to Las Vegas to meet another dude that we met in this cult who named himself after a vegetable. And while we were there, I housed a Red Bull and a vitamin water and shit my pants. I would like my application now, please. Do you have a pen?
They don't have pens for the forums, the Special Olympics.
It's too sharp.
Is it crayon?
Hey! Come on, man. That's distasteful.
What's distasteful about crayons, Fidd?
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, most presidential memoirs are written in crayon.
I stepped on a crayon today, actually.
What color was it?
It was yellow. I know, that wasn't the funny answer, but I had to be honest. It was yellow crayon. The only reason I was wearing shoes at the time is because I was at a bar. Now here's the thing. There's actually two blind eyes here. Okay?
Night of the
That's
Blind
an entire
Eyes.
head worth of eyes. Okay, so Dr. Fox has been to the bar that I'm talking about. And it was the one where we got those boneless wings with that you had a boner for them after you went home.
Yeah.
You had a boner for those boneless.
I had a bonerless.
You had a. Oh, I was gonna say. Yeah.
That's all I got. It's late.
You did. So I'm over there. It's Friday night tonight, as we speak. I was there earlier. Band, big crowd. Yeah, here's the two blind eyes. So I'm in the bar ordering a drink, and I'm talking to somebody, and in the course of our conversation, I go, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" Right? And then the bartender goes, "Shh. There's fucking kids over there, man. Watch your language." And it's like, all right, time out. I'm in my late 30s, and I'm in a bar. Yeah, I said a bad word, okay? Can a 37-year-old inside of a bar say the S word or the F word or the J word? You know, if okay, go ahead and bring your kids to the bar, but if you do, you are implicitly agreeing to have them possibly be exposed to some foul language. Am I right? Isn't that the social contract?
Yeah, I got a sidebar for that when you're done.
Okay, well, that's blind eye number one. Blind eye number two, I'm at the same bar earlier tonight, and for context, this Sunday, my Baltimore Ravens are playing the New Orleans Saints.
.com.
Okay? So I'm at the bar, and I cross paths with this chick that's wearing a New Orleans Saints jersey. And I'm like, "Hey, my Ravens are gonna kill you this Sunday." And she had this look on her face. like as if some psychopath just walked up to her and threatened to murder her with a flock of his trained killer birds.
As one does.
And it occurred to me, because I expected her to like talk some shit back or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it occurred to me that she didn't realize that I was referring to the shirt that she was wearing, right? Like, she forgot she was wearing a New Orleans Saints shirt, and then this drunk guy at a bar walked up to her and said, "My Ravens are going to kill you on Sunday." So to her,
that is
it was
St. Petersburg. That might get said a lot down there.
But that the blind eye overall,
A lot of necromancers.
that was just an example. It's when people are wearing a hat or a shirt, and then, a stranger, and then you make a comment to them about the hat or the shirt they're wearing, and they have no fucking idea what you're talking about because they forgot. They don't know what you're referring to. You know what I mean? It's like somebody's wearing a shirt, and you go, "Yeah, I love that movie," and they look at you like, "What movie?" And then you point to their shirt, and they're wearing a RoboCop 2 shirt. You know what I mean? And they go, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, dude, I didn't know it." You know what I mean? That. Blind eye to all of those people. They forget what they're wearing. You comment on it, and then it's their fault that they interpret it out of context.
Do they forget what they're wearing, or are they putting you on? Is it like a power play?
Okay, so yeah, if it was me, I would.
Hey, you
I
in the
would
Scooby-Doo
play-
hat and the fuck you shirt.
Who, me? Yeah, well, first I would do that move where I looked behind me at who they were pointing at, and then I would look at them and shrug my shoulders, like, huh? Yeah. So yeah, you're right. There is the small, the unsung elite of highly effective, world-class, top-notch trolls that will play stupid just to fuck with the person. Yes, but that is not in my experience.
Well, because the only other explanation for wearing a shirt that you don't know what it is that you picked it up dirty off the floor in the dark first thing in the morning, and that just makes me want to ask you, where do you buy your...
No, they that's the thing, though. They knew what it was when they put it on. They picked that shirt because...
You're assuming a lot, Fidd.
Well, okay. Well, in this situation, I was out at a bar on a Friday night where there was a bunch of people, and everybody, was dressed as if they had calculated their attire. Like, everybody looked good and clean. You know what I mean? Like, everybody looked put together.
You've never met somebody who's all like, "Oh no, I don't care what I wear. I just wear whatever I grab. I don't think about my clothes." You never met that guy?
So you're telling me that you've never, when you were out in public, you never made a comment about something that somebody was wearing, not the physical attributes of it, but what the shirt said or what the hat said. Like, you made a comment to them about it, and they didn't go, huh? Like, they didn't have a moment where they didn't talking about.
Of course that's happened to me. I'm just saying.
Okay. So, all right, so Mr. Public Defender, what's your point?
No, I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm just trying to paint a picture that the only other excuse is that person is like, "Oh, I know how hungover you are."
You ain't defending anybody in them shoes.
You're just as bad as the guy that defended Daryl Brooks.
This is why I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Oh, hey, she's crying. Julia Roberts is crying. Those veins in her forehead are popping out because it's really hard for her to fake cry.
I thought Fox had a sidebar about the.
Oh yeah.
Whatever my first blind eye was. What was my first blind eye?
It was pertaining to that bar that you're at, where I got the bonerless for the boneless.
Yeah, it's called the protruding pelican.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a somewhat interesting experience the last time I was there, But it was for the same thing you were talking about is like when kids come into bars, and it's like, come on. Like if there's I get sometimes somebody might come in with like a little kid, like 2 or 3 years old, but when you're bringing in 10 and 12-year-olds and like you're gonna do like the whole lunch, it's like taking the family out to Hooters, There's just something kind of odd about that. And it was a family that came in, and it was like 3 kids and their parents, and I assume the mother of one of those adults that was with them. And they had come over and they were ordering food, and behind me, so I'm sitting at the bar, and they come in. I'm like, it's hard to drink beer when there's little kids around. But there was a rack of clothes against the wall, and it was for the Protruding Pelicans Pride Month merchandise that didn't sell for some reason or another. But they had a bunch of T-shirts for St. Pete Pride with big rainbows on them, and they were tie-dye and stuff like that. And the old woman took all 3 kids over there and let them pick out a shirt. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I understand you're doing something sweet for your kids, but that shirt's not going to hold up on the playground, yo. And and then for the middle kid, like it was like tween girl, middle kid, and little brother, right? And middle kid, who already had like a buzz cut on, he was looking at another one, and Grandma goes, "Oh yeah, get the sleeveless one." And I just said, and that's why I immediately said, "I will have another beer, please."
Yeah, because you drinking a beer in front of those kids, maybe it's not optimal. Like, perhaps that you're normalizing consumption of alcohol and making a bad, social decision. I don't quite agree with that, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, it's also realizing that you're in, like, it's not that the Protruding Pelican is not. Really it's not a gay bar, but it's like a gay-friendly bar because it's in St. Petersburg. It's like here's my blind eye: any husband-wife singer-songwriter duo that both look like lesbians. That is unfair.
One that we were talking about today. I'm going to try make my first blind eye. Have you ever seen
make sure you push really hard.
You ever seen a woman who goes to a dance club and wears a really tight black tube dress? High heels, great hair, big fake tits. That girl?
Sure.
Blind eye to the ones who dress like that to church. Which I've seen with my own eyes.
What?
When was the last time you went to church?
Is that just so that they'll fly the plane into the church?
No. Like so.
It was really against her.
A few years ago, I went through a thing and I started going back to church again for a hot minute. And it was a Catholic church, a small suburban Catholic church.
Yeah, I like where this is going.
Just normal white folk.
Hold on, slower.
Small suburban Catholic church.
Gotta turn on the AC.
I gotta put on a shirt just to take it off.
And the point is, so it's not a hip urban church. It's just a small little church. But in come to the big mass with the old Irish priest is an army of 4 Eurotrash individuals, 3 female, 1 male.
Catholic thoughts.
It was the most uncanny, because it was not like they were just a little bit, too sexy for church.
And the Lord did say, check that ass, bitch.
Like, there were sequins. There were fucking sequins. And it's just like, I'm not saying you can't be a club person or dress sexy, but it's like, didn't you know where you were? I mean, did you think that the little old lady was going to be like, wow, your tits look fantastic in that top?
Well, I mean, I went to like a yoga pants, or what? We weren't doing yoga pants yet. What was it? It's not sweatpants.
The leggings.
It was like like leggings were coming in. I went to like a leggings kind of a church for a while after we got kicked out of the Southern Baptist Church. We went to the Little Church, and it was very casual, and it was kind of nice as a like a preteen teenage boy in church, for the girls that would dress up, and then the girls that didn't need to dress up.
Oh, well, but that's exactly my point. These 4 people that I'm talking about, they were not dressed casually. They were in like hard club wear. Like,
well, you gotta make it to mass.
To Fox's point, I mean, when you're in that community, when you're really in that community, basically one of the purposes that the church functions as is to find another person of the same religion as you to mate and make more people of that religion.
Yeah, so if anything, they were doing it right. That guy had all 3 of those girls that earlier night.
Good point.
Exactly.
That's what they were there for. They had to go to church because of what they had done. They were going to confess the hell out of themselves.
You're just trying to spread yourself. You're not going to say it out loud, but it is in your interest to get people, a man and a woman from within your religion, to get married and spit out a bunch of more kids that will become members of it.
Then if that's real, but if that's
they
really
know that's what they need.
Well, if that's really how Christians are dating, then why do any Christians use the internet to date? Just date someone in your church.
Catholics aren't Christians.
Well, now I'm not talking about the Catholics anymore. Now I'm just talking about
Catholics are polytheists. They're basically the Hindus of Christianity.
I mean, you're not very wrong.
Not wrong at all.
Yeah. Well, that's the best part.
It's a pagan religion.
That's what makes it so awesome.
Yeah, you say you're going back to church and you go to Catholics.
Well, that's why they call it Roman Catholic, because they have that pantheon.
Oh, I thought
saints.
I thought that was because they were always walking around.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Fox is going to be here at Jingleberries all night, and he's going to be back next Saturday to tell you his Roman Catholic joke again at 8:30.
Don't tip any of the bartenders.
Drink minimum is 10.
But yes, when I chose to re-engage with religion once, yes, I chose the Catholics.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. You can get back in touch with that old Rome, that old polytheism.
Yeah, well, when I decided that I wanted to give religion another try, I didn't want to pick an easy one. I'd already picked the easier religion. It's called atheism. That's the easiest religion there is.
Atheism is just veganism for God.
Yeah, it's equally as exhausting as well. That's what. Yeah, I couldn't be an atheist for that long. It got tiresome. That was the problem, though, because before I was an atheist, I was a Unitarian Universalist.
Oh shit!
For
a fence sitter.
Well, yeah, pretty much. It was like my last. I thought at the time it was my last ditch effort. I was like, all right. I don't believe any of this other shit, but these people seem to be like, you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want, believe whatever you want, follow your own rules. I was like, all right, I can get behind this. Yeah, I went there for about 4 months, and it was so fucking boring because there was nothing to it. There was no structure. There was no nothing.
Yeah, it's all denialism. It's just everyone going in and pretending that the world doesn't exist for an hour.
Yeah, so I got bored of that, and I was like, all right, this sucks. I'm just basically sitting on the spiritual couch watching TV. Like, nothing's happening. So then I was like, all right, I'm an atheist now. Fuck it. I'm going atheist, everybody.
Here's your Ayn
And
Rand.
then, while being a Unitarian Universalist was too boring, being an atheist was too exhausting because you had to watch a bunch of atheist videos, and you had to get into a bunch of atheist message boards and call everybody out. Like, if somebody said "God bless you," you have to go,
Oh yeah, you got to say something.
and then punch him in the face.
Yeah, anytime anybody uses God language.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
good morning. Did you know good morning comes from God? Good comes from God, so you saying good to me is oppressive. And I know I'm not a person of color, but which there's nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I do. It's because of you.
It was a fun sled ride until BLM came along. Then everybody had, air quotes, something to fight for.
Yeah, my last good guy badge before I called myself atheist was secular humanist. And I actually went to the big headquarters in Amherst, New York of the Center for Inquiry. And it was the big atheist meeting, and all the atheists, secular humanists, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, yeah, this is the big meeting. And we're all the representatives of all the college clubs. We're going to, because I started the atheist club at my college. We were called the Free Thought Society. That's a good name.
How much did you charge?
Oh, no, it was a school club. It was officially sanctioned. In fact, we received a budget from the school.
Gross.
$5 per amendment.
So I went to Amherst, New York to represent free thought for my school. And when I
Please tell me that's on video somewhere.
Actually, yeah, there is documentation of it on CFI's website. And there's photos and everything. But what was fucked up is when I got there, they told us that we would be staying in the campus dorms at the University of New York Buffalo, SUNY, and that there was no air conditioning. And it's unisex bathrooms. So ignore the gender marked bathrooms that are in the building. We're ignoring those for the duration of the seminar. And then the meeting. The actual talk. And it was the same thing. It was just much ado about nothing. And because I joined the secular humanists because I thought that they were a club for people who wanted to actually go out there and teach people that Star Trek can be a religion too.
Well, here's what it was. You did not know at the time that you wanted to be a subgenius. But you did. You just didn't. It's like being hungry for a food that you've never eaten before.
Well, the funny thing
is, where the Church of the Subgenius is an organization for non-joiners, the secular humanists are they're almost that, because it's just an organization for people that don't want to be organized.
The
reason you were drawn to that was because you really were being drawn to the Church of the Subgenius, but never having known it, this was such an approximation that it fulfilled some of those
secular
drives, but not all of them.
LeVay called it a good guy badge. LeVay called it a good guy badge. Secular humanists are just Satanists in khakis. And,
well, I mean, how much is there to talk about? It's like, did you know that science is actually a better way to figure things out than reading esoteric religious texts it comes to figuring out how to land on the moon? And then the other guy goes, yeah, I did know that. Okay, well, what else is there to talk about after that? It's like, all right, well, I'm glad you do, because you're correct.
Doesn't it feel good to be right?
I guess we're done here. I guess we can go home.
Yeah, you just all the chicks left on Thursday.
Well, no. Well, that was that was how my big switch. The big switch for me was I was a member of the organization that held the event that precipitated Elevator Gate. I was I was actually involved with like inter organization emails whenever fucking Michael Shermer asked that lady out for a cup of coffee, and she told the world that
wasn't it? It was Richard Dawkins violently raped.
no, it was Michael Shermer. Michael Shermer of Skeptic Magazine. No, I'm telling you, this is what happened. Michael
I'm
Shermer
going to show
from
you
Skeptic
some
Magazine.
selective breeding.
Yeah, no, Michael Shermer from Skeptic Magazine was in an elevator with.
No, it was Dawkins. It was Richard Dawkins.
It wasn't Dawkins. It was Shermer.
All right, I
was
bet you
Shermer.
$100.
Stephen Hawking in the study with the rope.
I bet you
But
$100.
you see, look how we're already fighting again. It's starting again.
$100.
That's what atheism does.
Yeah.
We can't make the bet now because I've had too much time to look it up, which I don't need to do because you're absolute. Look it up. Look it.
I'm looking it up. Give me a second. God damn.
I could look it up. Hurry
I'm
up.
looking it up.
Look it up.
I'm looking it up.
Elevator gate.
Elevator Gate.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins violently raped a
fuck, it
woman.
What the? What is Shermer? Well, someone accused Shermer of doing it too. I'm just saying. Yeah, Rebecca Watson. That was her name.
Remember when Christopher Hitchens locked himself in that room with those comedian bitches and started jacking off?
I never heard that story.
He entered the door.
Is that really true? Come on. Come on. I hope let it be true. I used to have all his books, actually. He was my hero. I used to dress like him.
He actually used to fuck dudes.
Yeah, I've made out with dudes. Big fucking deal. But, yeah.
Well, yeah,
hey, well,
made out with dudes. Quitter.
Wait a second. Is this like were you like a kid, and this happened on a playground or some shit, or a daycare?
No. When I was going through my wonderful, wonderful atheist phase, there was a Christian on campus, and I chose to embarrass him by kissing a random man.
Okay. And then he made out with you back?
The guy that I kissed or the Christian?
I thought they were the same person.
No. I called out to the audience and I said, "Who wants to make out?"
And a Christian?
No, a gay guy came out, and then the Christian was like, "See, this is why college is evil. Look at the degradation that they are teaching our children."
Got HPV now.
Oh my God, if I had it, it was shown by now.
Okay,
Hey,
so hold on.
your girlfriend is your best detector for HPV.
Yeah, when she gets cervical cancer, you'll know for sure that gay guy gave you HPV.
There you go. All right. Well, it's on the record now.
Yeah, her uterus is the canary in the cancer coal mine now. Speaking of coal mines,
means
let's
you
get
don't
back
have
to the gay guy.
Wait,
hold on a second. Yeah, I said speaking of coal mines, let's get back to the gay guy. What point were you trying to make by calling a fag out of the audience to make out with you?
Because the Christian who was speaking had specifically mentioned aloud in public that he said that homosexuality was a sin, and I felt the need to annoy him.
Okay, that being the case, why didn't you just call two fags out to make out with each other?
Because it was more expedient to do it the way I did it.
Ooh.
Yeah, casting. You gotta go with what you can get on the spot.
Yeah, I needed to show in that moment that two men could kiss and God wouldn't strike them dead on the spot. It was an empirical test.
Wait, did he?
No, I'm fine. Well, we'll find out if the HPV kicks in.
Did you guys take your pants off and start like docking with each other while singing "Jesus Loves Me"?
I'm just saying that
at the time it seemed like a really cool
not adding up.
I got in the
It's not
paper.
adding up.
I got in the school paper. I mean,
Local homo annoys all.
It was a no-brainer and a non-event for me. But
I think it's a little bit of a brainer. I think.
Yeah, when the first thought that pops in your head is, you know what? I need to find a guy to kiss.
Yeah, if that is a no-brainer for you,
Don't think.
In the context of the moment, it was the right thing to do.
I don't know. I'm trying to imagine a context in which
I
that would
told
be
you
a
the
no-brainer
context.
for me.
In the quad, it's taking place in the quad of Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, by a little rocket.
Listen, man. We love you and we support you. Okay, it's okay.
He told me the same thing. He doesn't.
Bro, shut up, man. Listen,
I'm trying to justify anything. I'm just telling us.
We love you for who you are. Okay, it's fine.
Well, Agnes doesn't. That's why she made me go back to church to pray the gay away.
The only thing that feels worse than how you feel every day when you have to hide who you truly are is how your friends feel, knowing that you're keeping a secret from us. Now listen, you don't just owe it to yourself to come out. You owe it to the people that care about you. Because you owe them...
Hold on. Are you telling me that I owe it to my wife, my female wife, to tell the world that I'm a homosexual? Is that what you're saying?
.com.
I'm saying if you care about her.
If I care about my wife, I will tell her I'm gay.
You know,
I just want you to do a little bit of moral calculus on that statement and tell me if it will end increasing the overall happiness.
Moral calculus, who's the one lying?
Oral calculus was my porn name back in the 90s.
That's actually a pretty good porn name.
Yeah, I was a math teacher.
Oh, did you have some illicit relationships with your uncannily all 18-year-old high school sophomores?
Well, she was pretty close to failing the course, and
you put that potato-shaped gun up here on my desk.
I'm willing to play fast and loose with grading, as long as there's something in it for me.
As long as it's like degrading.
More like double degrading. In her case.
So all right. So we just need to get.
So here's the moral calculus. Okay, when people have a relationship, whether it's friends or a wife or co-workers, it's a two-way relationship in all of those cases. Okay? And when people care about you on a deep level, on an intimate level, not sexually, but just like as good friends do, when it's supposed to be reciprocal. And part of that reciprocal relationship is honesty.
You need to look your wife in the eyes.
Any other relationship, honesty is a two-way streak. So when you are keeping a secret, you are not only doing that, you're lying. You're lying to all of your good friends and thereby degrading those relationships.
We're your best friends.
In order to preserve good relationships, honesty is a two-way streak. And we all know you're gay and you keep denying it, and you really just need to admit it, and so that we can relate to you on the level where we don't have to circumvent this awkward thing that we all know is true but you won't admit.
.com.
With friends like these.
You are living a lesbian lifestyle.
You need to stand up. You need to stand up. Don't sit when you do it. You both stand. You look her in the eyes and you say, "Mommy, I like boys."
Well, I am going to... Oh, shit. That reminds me. I'm driving down to Florida. I'm actually driving down to Florida in a couple weeks. So I will have to come out to my mommy for whenever she's renewing her wedding vows.
Well, you got 2 boys right here to bring with you.
Ooh, that's tempting, actually.
Who's the top, who's the bottom, and who's Lucky Pierre?
What the fuck is Lucky Pierre? Oh, we can just say we're in a 4-way relationship. We're poly now.
It's cool with the kids now. I actually saw a Facebook ad earlier today to help me with my polyamorous relationship.
I feel like that would probably kill my poor mother. I think that would.
Hey, free house in the Villages.
No, that would go straight to my stepdad's kids.
That's the step family.
No, I have no claim to any of that sweet.
Well, then let him.
Wife.
Okay, so let him legally adopt you. Then tell him you're gay, and then he's legally entitled to the shame to beat the crap out of you.
Ooh.
Wait a second. Am I legally polyamorous if, when I was 14 years old, I masturbated to a Polly Pocket commercial?
Do you still hold those feelings for Polly Pocket?
Do you still hold the Polly Pocket?
And how many Polly Pockets?
I mean, when I'm desperate, when I'm too tired of, when I go through, my masturbation roll, and I'm like, no, not that one. And then, I get the Polly Pocket, and I was like, ooh, haven't done this one in a while.
Yeah, did you ever take your old porno tapes and, tape over them with commercials?
I actually don't have any porno tapes anymore. All I have are a handful of DVDs.
Cretin.
No, I had the opposite. I had, when I was growing up, a bunch of VHSs of, The Lion King and The Little Mermaid and whatever bullshit, except for my fucking dad would record, segments of porn over, just a 15... the copy of Ghostbusters that I grew up watching, for
Dan
some
Aykroyd
reason...
really gets that ghost blowjob.
In that scene, it cut to, a real porn for, 10 seconds. And then it cut back to when that scene was over in the movie. So I have to think that was a calculated decision that my dad, got to that point on the tape and then recorded over it with a scene of actual porn for 10 seconds and then cut back to the actual movie. But that was the version of the movie that I grew up watching.
Yeah, that was how you're able to keep stuff out in the open. It's like when you cram your copy of Ooh La La in your sports almanac or something like that.
Yeah, you kidding me? My dad just had straight up porno. The first hardcore porno I ever saw was Blue Bayou by Adam and Eve Films, starring John Doe.
What, he just kept it in the entertainment center?
He kept it in a copy of the Lion King box.
No, he kept it in his underwear drawer along with a set of handcuffs and a bottle of lube.
Was the bottle of lube shaped like a... Was the bottle of lube shaped like a gun?
No, actually, did you know there is a lube called gun oil? It's formulated specifically for gay men.
No, I wasn't aware of that. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. But the best one, however, the best lube brand ever was Unicorn Spit.
Okay, so we already have, Fidd was incredibly enraged that we pointed out that we know of his ringer plan with the Special Olympics and all of the rules therein. But you are openly admitting your knowledge of the lubricant world.
Yeah.
And you voluntarily made out with a dude who made out back with you.
Yeah, this is the real reason I don't have any friends, is because I don't acknowledge boundaries and decent conversation.
Maybe you just don't kiss. Maybe you just don't kiss them enough.
Gay people don't have friends. Everybody knows that. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're gay? Ugh."
You didn't
I'm
kiss
not gonna be
me.
your friend.
Well, no, you're not my type. You're too tall.
Oh. You're one of those.
So-
You're a bigot.
Yes.
Do you only kiss your wife when she's wearing a strap-on that you can grab onto, so you can pretend she's a dude?
No. Actually, that's not my thing. She actually wears a mustache. I like the sensation.
He stands behind her and sticks in between her, and then he reaches around to the front and then kisses from the back.
God, it's like you know. Have you linked into my camera? Did you find my OnlyFans? Stop that.
Not that many times. Like, not a lot. Like, not obsessively.
Because I know that you
Weird.
computer guys. That's what you do. You can hack. You hack into people's cameras, and you can hack them.
I got
Hack it.
Norton.
That's what
I'll tear you up.
we got, and then
Well,
we
you've got you probably have multi-screen displays and like 2 keyboards, and you probably have one of those mouses that have like extra buttons.
Dude, I don't have a keyboard. I have a steering wheel.
See, you're a hacksaw. You're absolutely a number one hacker man.
Yeah, I'm actually in the car right now programming a website.
Funny thing is, it's probably not. It's probably real. It's amazing what you can do with things nowadays. Technology.
who's reading that box? I had like 7. Even T-Change had one, so
What? Dudes to make out with? What?
use your blind eye.
I thought I did mine earlier.
What? What was yours?
I don't remember.
Bad rating about something that the viewers remember, but I don't.
No,
No,
So
but
you expect him to remember, but you don't remember?
No, his was a tag on to my blind eye. He needs to do a completely original blind eye.
Okay, I got one. You ready?
Yeah.
You sure?
Is it me?
No.
Okay, then I'm ready.
Okay. My blind eye is gay atheists.
That's all you got? Gay atheists or
I think that's a big one. And for the kids listening at home, you can always just rewind this episode and it'll explain it for me.
All right, bad radio again. My cans died right before you said what your blind eye was. What was it?
Oh, well, I already said it, and we already got the laugh. We'll have to ADR you in.
T-Change. What was it?
Okay. Ask
I
me again.
command you under Fidd Crow to tell me.
Ask me again.
Hey, Fox, what's your blind eye?
Gay atheists.
Okay. So, I don't trust you if that's what you actually said the first time.
I mean, am I bound under Fidd Crow to answer? I don't feel the pressure.
Everyone
of that rule.
is bound under Fidd Crow.
I mean, literally?
And flayed, openly flayed.
Oh, we were talking about flaying your. Yes, he said gay atheists.
Why didn't you say gay theists?
That's a real term. Atheism plus
I'm
Tuesday.
pretty sure a T-shirt company has that trademarked or something by now.
That's the other problem with being an atheist is that you also have to be a social justice warrior. For some reason, that's like part and parcel.
You also
you
have to email Matt Dillahunty one Big Mac sandwich.
Oh, Dillahunty. Oh,
he quit the ACA.
Good for him.
Yeah, he said, "Fuck these fags."
Yeah, now he hangs out at Ruby Tuesdays with Aaron Raw.
It's Thunderfoot working in the kitchen.
I'm going to tell you why this is the worst way to cook chicken wings. There's no such thing as a boneless wing. Let me take an hour and 45 minutes of your time to explain it.
And his former co-host, Jeff D., who has the worst possible name ever if you're going to join Alcoholics Anonymous. You're not that anonymous.
Well, there's a lot of Jeffs.
Yeah, but his last name is spelled D-E-E.
Oh, his literally D. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was like an initial. Like he was trying
Thanks for making me explain the joke.
Well, it wasn't that funny, because if it wasn't even funny enough to make my dumbass laugh...
well, no, here's what I'll grant you. That's not
a gay atheist.
That's not a well-known reference. So, yeah. It wouldn't work.
It's a bad craftsman who blames his tools.
Well,
at
least I'm not gay.
I have to blame my co-hosts.
You're the one that initiated the making out of another dude.
Just to pretend to prove that God isn't real. Yeah.
At least I care enough about social justice to be an activist.
Putting the ass in activist.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
cat?
Hope you guys are happy with yourselves. I'm disgusted.
I'm not unhappy at all. I mean, you can go ahead and be disgusted if you like.
I'm regusted. I've gotten my gustation back.
So you just ate your vomit?
It's the circle of life.
But Dad, don't we eat the vomit?
Yes, son. And then it cuts to 10 seconds of porn.
Yep.
I'm on the fence. I don't know whether that was just a jocular, fictional anecdote, or if that was an actual thing that happened to you. Because I would believe that.
No. Full disclosure, that's absolutely true. And because that scene where Dan Aykroyd gets blown by a ghost is so deep into the movie, like it's near the end of the movie-ish. That's why it didn't get caught.
That scene happens immediately after the hotel scene.
But is that the only movie he did that to?
Do I know the movie that he recorded over that scene?
No. Is that the only movie he did that to?
As far as I remember, yeah.
Because I could remember. I couldn't remember, but I could give a guy saying, "Hey, you want to watch Ghostbusters? This one's pretty good." And then when it cuts to that, everyone in the room is like, "Oh."
It had to have been, right? Because the timing. If it was recorded over a random part of a random movie, then you could attribute it to he was fucking drunk, or something. But this particular movie and precisely on the sex scene, which the sex scene in Ghostbusters wasn't really a sex scene. He was just Dan Aykroyd, like the sheets came off, and then it was a shot on him rolling his eyes back. Yeah. There was no like real porn. But then, like, specifically for it to be recorded over that, and then not only that, but for the precise amount of time that took place, because as soon as that scene was over, it cut back, and it had that VHS, like, those few frames of static where it was obviously somebody pushed, like, record, and then the stop button, and it went, like, it cut in and out. But yes, that's absolutely true. That's the copy of Ghostbusters that I grew up watching, and it went undetected forever because of the fact that scene is so late in the movie. Like, they would basically, we would sit down, they would put the movie on, and they would sit there a few minutes just to make sure that I was occupied by something so that they could not have to watch me anymore. right? So they would get up after fucking 12 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
And they wouldn't see they would never see the horrible Frankensteinian edit job that I'm assuming my father did. I don't know. Maybe it was like our neighbor. We had a smart ass neighbor who might have done that as a joke, hoping that my parents would have seen it. I don't know, but absolutely yes.
Like, was it a copy of the movie recorded off TV, or was it like an actual boxed copy of Ghostbusters?
No, it was a copy that was recorded from like a second VCR. They rented it and recorded it.
Oh, well, that's probably the person who did it. If anyone who had double VCRs.
Yeah, because I've met your dad, and while I would give your dad the drive and ambition to set up 2 VCRs to set up that joke, I do not believe that your dad wouldn't tell everyone he was about to show that tape about the joke that was coming up. So, yeah, maybe your smart-ass neighbor. Which, I mean, then your dad's got a great reason. He can go over and be like, you have any idea what the hell was on that tape? My son's watched it 37 times.
Yeah,
Wore out the VCR.
I was really into Ghostbusters as a kid. I mean, really into I loved that movie.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's like playground urban legends from hell. That's fantastic. My friend has this one copy where you could see Dan Aykroyd get his weenie sucked on.
That was like when there was rumors about fatalities that existed in the original Mortal Kombat that never fucking... It was like
when Scorpion rapes Sonya over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only in the Genesis version, and you have to fucking to be on the level, and then
well, I would use that to my advantage and tell anybody I'm playing against that, and hope that they go for a, oh yeah, you can play as Jax. Did you hear about the fatality where he pulls his dick out? And and then you just
Liu Kang to death with his huge black cock.
Yeah, you can do it, but you can. It's only activated if you low kick the entire game.
Did you know Kane had a Jacob's ladder?
And then you have to do a mercy on the finish him screen, and then after you do the mercy, then you can only low kick and you can't push the block button, and it has to be on the pit stage. You know what? That's the thing, though. That will never happen again. One of the cool things about back in the day, before there was like a centralized internet where all the codes you could just look up, not only look up anything, but watch a video on YouTube of somebody doing the thing that you're trying to figure out how to do in a video game. Back then, it was all word of mouth. So there were these crazy rumors that could never exist today because they wouldn't last 5 seconds before somebody on the internet debunking it. But back
even
then,
with debunkers, people believe crazy shit.
Yeah, but like I just remember like
the anti-piracy screen memes, ROM hack memes.
Yeah, there's ROM hacks of old games though. Like new games, it's all out there. I just remember like showing up to the lunch table at school and somebody going, "Bro, did you know?" And then I would go, "What?" Like I would totally take it hook, line, and sinker, and then couldn't wait to get home to try to find out this completely fictitious secret in a game because there was no other source. The only other source you could subscribe to like Nintendo Power or Game Pro magazine and then hope that there was something relevant in that issue that showed up that day that had to do with the game that you were playing.
No.
Yeah, maybe your mom will let you get a subscription to Nintendo Power, you rich bastard.
No, I wasn't rich. They just got me that instead of a Nintendo.
Here, this one.
So I could just look at all the pictures of the games.
Keep up with the kids on the playground.
Yeah, I would still know what I was talking about,
I feel like a subscription to Nintendo Power after 6 months would exceed the cost of a Nintendo.
I don't know. I have a tub, a plastic tub full of Nintendo Powers.
You still have those?
I do. It's one of
good.
Yeah. Yeah, they were waterproof, so I wasn't worried about them during the hurricane. But yeah, there's a shitload of them in there. I subscribed to them in from 91 to 99.
Yeah. I had a neighbor who had a Nintendo Power subscription. It was like going to the archive, the sacred archives. It's like, ooh, he'll let me look at his Nintendo Powers, because I had a Nintendo, but I only had 3 games for it.
Yeah.
So
same.
if I wanted to experience, there was a submarine game for the NES called Silent Hunter, and it was in an issue of Nintendo Power that he had, and I wanted that game so badly. It looked so fucking cool. And then I became an adult, and I found out about emulators, and I tried the game, and I'm glad that I didn't ruin my fantasy when I was young.
When we had the Nintendo 64, we had a bunch of games. For the Super Nintendo, we had 2 or 3. But we didn't get a Nintendo because we had a computer. But, we had a computer, so we had tons of video games.
That's when you played all Sam and Max shit and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you play some...
we had my dad, because our first computer was an old Radio Shack with Amber Type, like a fucking TRS. But then the refinery where my dad worked, they got new computers, and they gave all the operators the old computers. So we got an industrial grade Packard Bell 486.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I go from having Mario on Nintendo and this weird ASCII Ghostbusters game on my Amber Type to suddenly, I've got shareware for Wolfenstein 3D. I've got Commander Keen. I've got a bunch.
Yeah.
That was the best time for computers, because shareware. You could dip your toe into 100 games, and you could fit 100 games onto a CD.
Yeah, I had plenty of those. I had a lot of what would you call shovelware and shareware and abandonware games. I remember a copy of PC Gamer put out. I've still got the CD. It's from 2001, 2002, and it's full of full editions of classic games. There's Monkey Island and Duke Nukem and stuff like that on it, and that stuff was great. We had 40, 45 games on the Nintendo 64, and then one Christmas it was, I got a GameCube and my brother got an Xbox, and I was just fine with that. The GameCube was great. I ended up getting 12 or 15 games. But when I was younger, for the Super Nintendo, we only had 3 or 4 games, and my mom did not want to buy video games, so she would let us rent them, and my dad would fuss at her, saying just buy them, it's cheaper than renting them. But yeah,
especially if you like it and you want to play it again after a week. Which included a week of you going to school, so you only had
a couple days.
Yeah, in effect. And so you had to go back and rent it again.
I had a Genesis too, but I had 2 games. I had Sonic & Knuckles and Rystar. Anything else I play on the Genesis, I rented.
I was in that boat too, because I grew up poor, and luckily there was a independent, it wasn't a Blockbuster or whatever, there was an independent video rental store that also did video games, but they had a punch card. So every time you rented a game, you could punch the card. And then some of the most exciting experiences of my single-digit age life were when the punch card was completely filled up and I got a free game. I could not only get the one game that we were going there to rent, I could get a completely other one for free. I could go home with 2 games.
Nice.
Because when my dad got remarried, my stepbrother, he was a Sega kid, and he brought his Genesis, and eventually we got a Saturn. But I always just remember, being really impressed by the Genesis. Like, there was a game called Doom Troopers that I just thought was the coolest fucking thing.
Well, Sega did do what Nintendo didn't.
Which is land directly on their face.
It is kind of, because I liked the Genesis, and I actually did like the Saturn. It didn't have a lot of great games for it, but when it was good,
it didn't have very many games to begin with.
But when
they couldn't get third parties to develop for the Saturn, so all they could either do was port things that they already had,
Sega CD games and stuff like that,
or do first party games. Yeah, and there was like a port of Mortal Kombat and a port of Doom. No, not on the Saturn. There wasn't a Doom, but
if you had a Genesis, you could throw the 32X and the CD drive and the modem.
Yeah, and you get the Sega Channel. Dream Games in like 1993. That was their answer to the BSX for the SNES.
I just think that the Saturn, its graphics, I thought they were really cool looking graphics.
Yeah, once they loaded.
It's the same as a PlayStation, basically, in terms of graphics. Like,
it's got but there's something about the game, the titles that did get onto the Saturn. They have that much. They have that great. They do that dark Japanese thing really, really well.
Did you say title with an S?
Did I?
I thought it was just Nights Before Dreams and then ports of other games.
Oh, there were a lot of other games. Because again, my stepmom actually was she liked the Sega Saturn. It was her idea. And so she bought a shitload of games for it. Like, there were some vampire mystery games and, like normal, like first person shooters and, more traditional styles of games. That wasn't really done as well on the Saturn, but like RPGs and adventure games and like weird horror games, those were all over the Saturn and they were great.
We had when Fidd was living in the airlock, we had the big 32-inch CRT TV out there, and we had a Nintendo Wii plugged into it, and I had hacked it and thrown on every emulator and every game that we could get. And yeah, the Saturn, but I would also give it to the Sega CD. The Sega CD had some killer RPGs.
I forgot to say that the other thing that the Saturn did really well was its light gun was amazing. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, what was that Hideo Nakamura? What's that guy? Kojima?
The Hideo Kojima game.
The Hunters or something like that.
What was it called? Like Splitters?
Strikers?
I didn't have that. We had Virtua Cop 2 because my stepmom was going to the police academy at the time, so that's how she filled her off time, was pretending to be a cop.
Ah.
But it was great. The light gun was amazing. I got really good at Virtua Cop 2.
I had always wished, because we had we got the Sega Dreamcast, and we never got it online, but we did. We had House of the Dead 2, and we had light guns, and we'd play the hell out of that. But I wanted them to release a foot pedal so we could do Time Crisis at home.
Oh,
yeah.
That would have been fantastic. Just sell me the foot pedal, I'll play it.
I'll tell you what, if I ever wanted to go in debt for a single video game, there was an arcade game where you played helicopter police officers, and you had big vibrating machine guns on pintles, so it felt like fucking, Full Metal Jacket guy, get some.
No, that's stupid. How are you supposed to put your knee on somebody's neck from a helicopter?
No, it's militarized police. It's even worse than normal police brutality. It's the police using high-caliber military-grade weapons against the citizenry.
So they have, like, guns that shoot knees down? on black people. They shoot kneecaps.
Well, that's the secondary fire, like the grenade. The primary fire is just microaggressions.
Well, if you put those in a shotgun,
Well, they're devastating when they accumulate. It's a cumulative thing. One microaggression might not trigger someone, but when you accumulate enough microaggressions on your punch card and you turn it in, you can trade them in for one oppression.
Upgrade achieved.
How many microaggressions equals one oppression?
More than enough. More than enough.
Could be more, in my opinion.
I'm saying not enough.
Not enough.
So you think it should be a much longer list, like
much bigger gun.